Hello, I'm back with an overview of algebra. I want you to recognize the language that is used in algebra is different from the language of math a little bit. Um, and so in math, remember that in math we had problems. 5 plus 7 equals 12. And the problems were made up of numbers, 5, 7, 12. In algebra, we've started adding these variables to the numbers. And sometimes we have, of course, exponents. But when we started doing that, we can't really call this a number anymore. So we've started calling this a term. These are terms because it includes, often includes a number and maybe more than one variable and so forth. So the language changed a little bit. Problems became equations and then, or expressions, but an equation suggests that there's an equal sign and that we try to balance for one side to the other. But in any case, so we've gone from problems with numbers to equations with terms. Okay, and then also, let's see how we're doing. So then we have expressions. Sometimes in algebra, we're not working with an equal sign and trying to find out necessarily the solution to a problem. Sometimes we're really just trying to simplify the problem. But what remains is, we call this an expression, an algebraic expression, and it has terms. Again, this is a term. Usually the terms are separated by operation symbols like pluses, minuses, multiplication, division, but these are the terms of an algebraic expression. So now you're getting comfortable with the language. Let's see. And then what do we do? What do we do in algebra is another question. We don't just solve problems. We don't just solve equations. Let's look. So we do three things with expressions and equations. With equations, we solve them. And if you've seen one of my previous videos, we solve an equation by isolating the variable to find out what the value of the variable is. But sometimes, like I say, we might have just an algebraic expression with terms, and our goal with an expression might simply be to simplify the expression. And we simplify the expression by combining the terms. We can add the terms together, and we're going to do some of that in the rest of the lesson. So, but there's three things you might do with algebraic expressions or equations. You might simplify. You might be asked to solve the equation or simplify the expression. And finally, we do evaluate, or sometimes we do evaluate. Evaluate's really pretty easy, because with evaluating something is when you already have the value. If you have the values of y and x, or you think you have the values of y and x, then you plug the number in for the letters and then see if it works out. And so they call that evaluating. So you start out with the values for the variables of something and you plug them in. But in any case, we do a lot of solving. You do solving equations and you do simplifying. So there's an important thing to understand when you simplify. When you simplify equations or algebraic expressions, when you simplify them, there are certain rules involved. And One of the main things is you need to understand is what's called like terms and unlike terms. And in this case, like means that they're similar, or and unlike terms. So they're not, like terms are compatible. The terms x squared or 1x squared and 8x squared, those are considered like terms. We could add them together if we wanted, because the variable is the same and the power, the exponent is the same. So those are like terms. If we're going to simplify something, we might do that. Again, 3x and 4x are like terms because you can, because the variable is the same and the power of the variable. There's an exponent here which is 1, x to the 1, we just don't bother to put the 1, but the power of the variable is the same and the variable, so we can combine those. Here are some examples of unlike terms. So this is remember that we will be simplifying algebraic expressions, and when we do that, we want to combine the like terms, but we can't combine the unlike terms. 2x and 3y are unlike terms. We can't combine them because they have different variables, x and y. Those can't be combined. And so, at least during simplification, again, 5y to the third and 4y to the second. These can't be combined even though the variable is the same, the powers are different, the exponents are different. So they're unlike terms. Finally, x and 4. 4 is an algebraic term even though it's also a number. In the world of algebra, 4 can be called a term. It can be called a constant. Don't worry about that. But x and 4 can't be added or combined because x is a variable and 4 is not. 4 is a number. Okay, let's do an example of simplifying an expression here.